Okay, so how many of you caught Hunter Biden's recent rant about every single person that should be blamed for Joe Biden's loss in the last election? Of course, except for Joe Biden himself. I caught it. I'm shocked I'm still talking about him. I didn't think I'd be talking about Hunter Biden in the summer of 2025, but I'm kind of happy that I am, because I think he's a really good example of what's wrong with a lot of politicians and public figures in our country who believe that people really want their opinion, even those like Hunter Biden who have done as much damage as he has, probably to his own family, but to the country as well. I think it's weird that someone like that would think that we'd want his opinion, and his really angry, condescending opinion, which came out of nowhere and was very strange and kind of helpful to no one. I don't know. I'm curious your thoughts. I talked about it with Lara Trump on her show, The Right View, the other day, and I don't know. I can't stop thinking about this rant and what came over him. I mean, I have some people who advise me in my life, but definitely not as many as Hunter Biden has, especially like PR professionals. I can't imagine anyone thinking that this was a good idea. What do you think?
Is that the Democrats say that maybe the Republicans are talking about Joe Biden too much. They may want to talk to Hunter, though, Liz, because Hunter had a lot to say. I don't know what the story is with this guy. I mean, you know, in some ways I feel sorry for him. In other ways, I think that it's just outrageous. I don't know who told him to drop as many F-bombs as he did in some of these podcasts, but man, he really went hard. Andrew Callaghan is the guy's name, the YouTuber whose podcast he went on. He calls out George Clooney. He calls out James Carville. He calls out David Axelrod. He calls out, you know, all of Obama's, he calls them junior speechwriters. They're the Pod Save America guys. And he's saying those people raked in millions of dollars. Anita Dunn, Jake Tapper. He just went he went ham on everybody, Liz, and he did not hold back. And he seems to, in my mind, be trying to, first of all, make excuses for his dad. And he says that, like, his dad's administration was so historic and they got so much done. Like, okay, Hunter, maybe, like, we no one believes that, first and foremost. But it kind of seems like he's positioning himself, Liz, as, like, I'm your option. I'm the guy who knows everything. I don't know. What's Hunter doing here? Is he going to make a political run? What did you make of this whole rant that he had? Because it was really something.
It was. You know, I haven't thought about him running. I kind of hope he does. Based on where the party is now, he might be their best chance. I don't even know. They don't have a lot of options. But I mean, honestly, watching this, it was almost comical because I knew that it wasn't going to be reported on the way it should be. And considering how the legacy media is like salivating for any kind of cracks in Donald Trump's base, it's interesting that they didn't want to cover this, considering he's the son of, you know, the president who left 6 months ago. He's the son of the guy who was vice president for Barack Obama for 8 years. I mean, he's literally ripping apart every single major Democrat, anyone that has any kind of voice left in the party. And they don't want to cover it, but that's your major crack. The fact is, no one is more fractured than the Democrat Party right now. I'm still waiting to see what comes out about Joe Biden and his historic presidency, but the fact is, it's going to keep coming out. We still have Karine Jean-Pierre's book and everything she wants to tell people. We still have these investigations going on. There's going to be more and more, and I think the more comes out, the worse it's going to look, not just for Joe Biden, obviously, but for the party. And I hope that Hunter Biden keeps talking. I hope he runs for office, and I hope he never disappears.
Reagan, I thought the timing of it was kind of weird. Like this all kind of broke on the day that they kicked Joe out of running for the presidency. Like the day they like ushered him on out and, you know, had a little cane and get off stage. We're done here with you. He came out then to kind of like rant and rave about all of this. And then one of the things that I am still trying to piece together is he claims that the reason that Joe Biden's debate against Donald Trump was so bad was just historically terrible. Nothing has like ever happened like that in terms of debates. Is because Joe Biden was on Ambien? Like what's going, do you believe that Joe Biden was on Ambien? And who would take an Ambien before you go out on stage to do probably the most important debate of your entire political career? I don't get that.
Well, I believe that Joe Biden was probably on something. I guess it makes some sense. But, you know, I think we've gotten a lot of answers on what was going on behind the scenes, maybe who was running the White House. But there's still so much to be discovered. I want to know, what was it like to wake up Joe Biden at 2 a.m. when there was some emergency that you needed to talk to him about? Were there guardrails somewhere in the White House? Did he need help walking and getting dressed behind the scenes? Maybe that's a bit of a stretch, but I'm still curious for these details. What was he taking medicine, if any? Like, what was that like? But just so I think there's so much to be discovered. And I think if Hunter starts to keep talking, we can learn a lot more and we can get those answers. But I also understand what's going on with Hunter Biden here. I think he's very angry. I think the Biden family is very angry. And I covered President Biden for a year. And I remember talking to a Trump campaign official on the campaign who was kind of worried that maybe poking fun at Joe Biden's age could eventually slip into this realm where people start seeing him as this old grandpa and they start to feel bad for grandpa and then they have sympathy for him. And I kind of started to feel that towards the end of my coverage because it was quite sad watching him deteriorate and not know where he was going and stumble through speeches. And that the fact that there were people around him who thought this was okay, who thought it was okay to keep running him for another term. And then we find out behind the scenes, according to Tapper and Thompson, that they're considering putting him in a wheelchair for the next 4 years because they don't think he can continue to walk. And so I understand that Hunter Biden is probably frustrated was sad seeing his dad deteriorate, and then also was sad to see friends turn against the party. I think it's a huge, messy situation. I don't know if there's an explicit right and wrong, but I think what we're seeing from Hunter Biden is really just frustration and anger over the whole way the 2024 campaign played out.
Well, I can talk about anger. I can talk about frustration. Come talk to those of us in my family who lived through being accused of colluding with Russia. By the way, we talked about this a few minutes ago, but there was the implications of this thing extended so much farther than just our family and my father-in-law. Liz probably remembers this. On the 2016 campaign, how many staffers had to lawyer up and go defend themselves, present themselves in front of Congress because they were being questioned about this. People went broke because they had to defend themselves from something that apparently Obama made up, that the chief intelligence officers of the Obama administration concocted and cooked up. It was all a lie from the beginning. But what about those people? What about the people whose lives were altered in really horrible ways? When do they get their apology and their life back? I mean, I always talk about, of course, the money we spent to investigate the Mueller investigation, but those people's lives were destroyed. And so we have been in my family accused of a lot of things. And now we're finding out, surprise, surprise, they're all fake. 2020, want to talk about being frustrated, Hunter, on the other side of an election? I got to tell you, I've never seen spikes of votes come in at 3 o'clock in the morning. I've never seen people carry suitcases full of ballots in and out of polling locations for some unknown reason. I've never seen a cat named Cody Timms vote in an election until 2020. All of that happened. So yeah, I get it. I get that Hunter is frustrated. But I think we all, Reagan, felt sad for Joe Biden in some cases because it's tough to see somebody who is confused. It's frightening as an American citizen that was our commander-in-chief and our president. I'm grateful nothing worse happened during his term as president. And even that time frame between the 24 election and Donald Trump being inaugurated, I was terrified, honestly, that our adversaries might take advantage of that time because Joe Biden's cognition was very clearly gone. But the people around him do bear responsibility. Hunter bears responsibility. Jill Biden bears responsibility because those are the people who should have stepped in a long time ago and said, you know what? This is not working. This is not good for Joe. This is not good for the country. We've got to put our foot down and we have to step in. But it seems to a lot of us, looking from the outside in, that they were so power hungry and they wanted so badly to stay in that, White House and in that bubble that they were willing to do anything they needed to just push him over the finish line, of course, until after that debate. Quickly to talk about Stephen